Take a breath, because the Milwaukee Bucks have once again ripped a page out of the script critics swore they had already read. It's late November, the lights are hot, the noise is violent, and the clock is doing that uncomfortable thing where it ticks a little too loudly. The Bucks are down, the game is tightening like a noose, and the familiar chorus begins to bubble online. Giannis and Dame can't close games. It's the storyline that has shadowed them all season. The chemistry questions, the late-game breakdowns, the defensive rotations that looked like scrambled signals. But on this night, in front of a roaring crowd and a national audience ready to pounce, the two superstars decided they were tired of the narrative. And so, they did what great duos do. They shut the world up. It began with that shift you can feel before you can describe. Giannis walked back onto the court with that face, the one where he looks less like a basketball player and more like a myth wearing sneakers. Dame tightened his laces, tapped his chest once, and stared ahead like he was reading the ending of the game before it happened. You could see the quiet in their posture, the kind that has nothing to do with ego and everything to do with intention. The Bucks weren't just trying to win, they were trying to reclaim the story that had been slipping from their hands. The final stretch opened with a baseline spin from Giannis so violent, the defender looked like he had stepped into an industrial fan. The dunk that followed wasn't just 2 points, it was punctuation. An exclamation mark slammed through the rim. The arena detonated, phones shot up, even the cameraman flinched. But at home, the critics waited. They wanted to see how the final minutes would play out. Because Milwaukee's problem, allegedly, wasn't the first 44 minutes, it was always the last 4. Then came Dame time. Not metaphorically, not romantically, literally. The shot clock ticked under 10. Lillard caught the ball 28 feet from the basket, and his defender looked at him the way a man looks at a thunderstorm he knows he can't outrun. He sized up the floor, dribbled once, dribbled twice, and pulled from a distance that would make most shooters file a complaint with the coaching staff. The shot floated, elegant and terrifying, high enough to brush the rafters, and when it splashed, the silence from the critics was louder than the noise in the arena. But this moment wasn't magic. It was construction. It was hours. It was tension. It was a superstar duo that had been battered by headlines, poked by analysts, questioned at every turn. Every talk show had taken its swing. The fit isn't there. Dame's not the same guy. Giannis needs a different closer. They heard it all, and whether they admitted it or not, it built inside them like pressure under tectonic plates. Tonight, that pressure finally cracked into something unstoppable. Giannis followed the three-pointer with a defensive possession straight out of a superhero storyboard. A chase-down block that somehow defied the physics of momentum. He jumped from behind, mid-stride, like a shadow accelerating past light, meeting the ball at the backboard and rejecting it with a force that shook the entire geometry of the play. The crowd exploded. Dame caught the rebound, pushed the ball up court, and in a sequence that felt scripted, fed Giannis for a transition Euro step that ended in a layup so smooth it felt illegal. Suddenly the Bucks were up. Suddenly the critics were scrambling. Suddenly the team that couldn't finish was finishing with a flamethrower. But the story isn't just the highlights, it's what those highlights meant. Because nights like these expose something deeper. The Bucks duo was never broken. They were simply unfinished. Chemistry isn't instant coffee. You don't just stir it and expect sweetness. It needs time, friction, frustration, reps, arguments, experiments, mistakes, late-night film sessions, and those rare games where everything suddenly falls into place like two puzzle pieces that had been whispering to each other the whole time. Giannis and Dame weren't just scoring, they were sinking. Dame started reading Giannis's screens with surgical precision, slipping behind defenders and turning half-open windows into full scoring lanes. Giannis began trusting Dame's pacing, letting him orchestrate, allowing the offense to breathe instead of forcing his way into contact. And defensively, the team rotated like a single organism instead of 5 independent contractors. Everything was finally moving with rhythm, and then came the moment that killed the narrative entirely. With 22 seconds left, the Bucks clung to a 2-point lead that felt as fragile as glass. The opposing team isolated Giannis on the wing, a bold choice considering the fact that the man treats defensive possessions like religious duty. The crowd held its breath, the scorer's table leaned forward, and then Giannis slid, shuffled, sealed, and swallowed the drive whole. The ball was forced out, bouncing into Dame's hands like a reward from the basketball gods. And Dame, calm as a monk in meditation, walked himself to the line. 2 free throws, the entire weight of the season's criticism resting on his shoulders. He bounced the ball once, stared straight ahead, and knocked down the first with zero hesitation. The second fell the same way. No theatrics, no dramatics, just precision. The lead grew, the game slipped out of reach, and the critics, for the first time in weeks, didn't have anything left to say. This win wasn't just a win, it was a message, a thesis. A declaration! Giannis reminded the world he's still one of the most terrifying forces to ever touch hardwood. A player who can dominate without needing validation, without leaning on narratives, without pretending to be anything other than an evolutionary puzzle the league has yet to solve. Dame reminded the world that time is not a nickname, it's an identity. It's something he summons, something he weaponizes, something he has built his entire legacy on. He showed that age hasn't cooled the fire, it only sharpened the blade. And together, they reminded the league that chemistry is not defined by October or November. It's defined by nights like this, nights where the pressure is suffocating, where every possession feels like it's pulling apart at the seams, where every mistake could unravel the narrative, and instead they forge something stronger. By the time the buzzer sounded, the critics were quiet, the crowd was levitating, and the Bucks walked back to the tunnel with the kind of swagger that comes from silencing an entire storyline with 12 minutes of ruthless basketball. The message was simple but definitive. We're not done. We're not broken. We're just getting started. Giannis and Lillard didn't just win a game. They reclaimed the pen. They rewrote the chapter. They reminded every doubter, every skeptic, every talking head, every anonymous burner account that greatness takes time, but when greatness clicks, it becomes inevitable. And tonight, inevitability wore green and cream. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard are 2 of the most talented and electrifying players in the NBA. Giannis, known as the Greek Freak, is famous for his incredible athleticism, dominant drives to the basket, and all-round versatility, making him one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball. Damian Lillard, often called Dame Time, is known for his clutch shooting, deep three-pointers, and leadership on the court. Together on the Milwaukee Bucks, they form a powerful duo. Giannis's power and defense combined with Lillard's shooting and playmaking make them one of the most dangerous partnerships in the league, capable of taking on any opponent. If you want more fire breakdowns like this, the moments that flip narratives, the performances that shut mouths, and the stories the stats can't tell alone, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. This channel is where the real sports storytelling lives. Stay tuned, stay loud, and stay locked in, because the next clutch moment is already on the way.